Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Divine Comedy Reader tag. The tag was created by Tom L.A. Books, who if I understand correctly, he's doing a reading project dealing with the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. And he's created a tag about it. I've seen this tag going around. I first watched Steve Donahue's version, and then I watched Roz of Skeledangling About the Books version, and then just this morning I watched Brian of Bookish's version. And I will leave a link to all three channels down below, as well as Tom L.A. Books' original tag. But before I begin the tag itself, I did want to talk a bit about Dante. So, I first picked up a copy of the Inferno in a dual language edition from a used bookstore in Austin in 2000. I was a sophomore in high school and I was doing UIL, which is in Texas. They're the governing body for interscholastic sports: football, basketball, volleyball, track. And they also do academic competitions, of which I participated in that year, and I managed to make it all the way to state. So we went to this used bookstore. We were looking for, or the principal was looking for, Barnes & Noble. In hindsight, why the hell we didn't go to Book People, I have no idea. I mean, it's not that far from UT's campus, but anyway. So we found this used bookstore, and we went in, and I picked up the dual language edition of the Inferno. I also picked up the English page by Michael Ondaatje, Johnson the Oath by O.E. Woolvag, and the first volume of the Norton Anthology of English Literature in a very old edition. And I subsequently have none of those books anymore, and I'm not entirely sure what I did with them. I did later pick up a complete Divine Comedy in this portable Dante edition. Although I've never actually read the Divine Comedy, I think I bailed on it. I think either when I was still in high school, I think. And I read it, and I got a few lines in, and I'm like, nope, not for me. I mean, I might come back to it eventually, but I don't know. But anyway, I thought that would be an interesting bit of personal reading of Dante, or collecting of Dante or something. Anyway, let's get started. Prompt number 1, Virgil and Dante. Inferno Canto I. Are you the font that pours so overwhelming a river of human speech? One of your favorite books featuring a master-pupil relationship between two of the main characters. Now, I struggled with this tag. I was going to do this tag last week, but this prompt, I had issues with. I struggled trying to find a book, particularly your favorite. There is a book that I think would work here, but I didn't particularly care for, and I bailed on it. I mean, there is one that the one that I just settled on is problematic, because the master-pupil relationship turned romantic. And while that relationship was fruitful for the people involved, ideally these relationships are problematic by nature. The master has far more power in the relationship than their pupil does, and it's unethical, certainly. But this is a book I really like, and the two characters, the master and the pupil, are of equal importance. And so the book I picked is The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore. This is a biography of William Moulton Marston, who created Wonder Woman, as well as had some influence on the creation of the polygraph test, or the science behind the polygraph test, if not the actual polygraph test. So his role in the polygraph and the creation of the polygraph test is a bit overstated. But so Marston was a professor of psychology, and I'm blanking on the university he was teaching at, but he met Olive Byrne, who was a niece of Margaret Sanger, and she became a student of his, an assistant, and this relationship turned romantic, and eventually they sort of had this polyamorous relationship between William Moulton Marston, his wife Elizabeth, and Olive, where Elizabeth would be able to work while Olive raised the kids, both Elizabeth and her own. So that's the one that I think, yeah. I mean, it worked for them, but still, a bit unethical in the teacher-student relationship. Prompt number 2, the Psychedelic Eagle, Paradiso Canto VIII, Paradiso Canto VIII. In the sky I saw distinctly shone in golden fire the image of an eagle's head and neck. A book that fired up your visual imagination more than others. I'm going to go with creative inspiration here. And for this, I'm going with Dionysus, Archetypal Image of Indestructible Life by Carl Karenyi. I finally got around to reading this last year and quite enjoyed it. This is a book that looks at the history of the Greek god Dionysus and an interpretation of Dionysus. And sort of Karenyi's, sort of his, the history he presents, the interpretation he presents, is quite inspirational. It gave me so many ideas that I'm looking forward to really getting around to. Prompt number 3, Count Ugolino, Inferno Canto XXXIII. And then hunger had more power than even sorrow had over me. A book you read with such graphic and horrific descriptions that you will never forget them. For this, I'm going with, for this prompt, I'm going with The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. I mean, to be honest, if you are a fantasy reader, any work of grimdark probably really fits this prompt like a glove. But in this one, there's dismemberments, there's people being thrown down recycling chutes to be eaten by this monster. It's just so much body horror in this book. Prompt number 4, the cinematic Archangel. Once I get around to from Inferno Canto IX. Excuse me. I saw more than 1,000 souls of the ruined flee before one who strode across the Styx. What book that's not been adapted for cinema would you make into a movie or a TV series if you were a producer with unlimited financial means? For this prompt, I'm going with two manga, Naruto and Fairy Tail. I would love to see a live action adaptation for television of both. I think both are incredibly doable, and I would love to see it done. And I think an unlimited budget would allow for the effects to just be rendered beautifully. And for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to, well, I guess I can. So, Naruto is a Japanese manga in which ninja are sort of fill all sorts of niches, from couriers, bodyguards, soldiers, assassins, and they have superpowers. And Naruto is a sort of he starts the series as a braggart, as a trickster, as a troublemaker, largely because he's the village pariah. He has within him monstrous fox being that attacked the village on the day of his birth, and he essentially jails it. And he desires what he truly desires is to be recognized, to have bonds and friendships. And he thinks by being the leader of the village, he can force those bonds, that recognition. But as the story progresses, he gradually makes friends and makes those connections and gains that recognition on his own. He doesn't actually need to be Hokage. Of course, at the end, he does become Hokage, that leader of the village, but that's neither here nor there. So I quite enjoy Naruto. Although I do think the second part of the manga, for me, is a bit better than the first. And then Fairy Tail is, I've talked about Fairy Tail quite a bit at the end of last year and bits of this year. It's a manga series in which wizards form guilds and do various jobs. And gradually over the course of Fairy Tail, a rival kingdom begins an invasion for which Fairy Tail is deeply involved in part because what the emperor of this kingdom wants is within Fairy Tail, and also several Fairy Tail members have a relationship with this emperor figure. But I love both manga, and I would love to see live action adaptations of both. Prompt number 5, The Noble Castle, from Inferno Canto IV. The master of those who know, sitting in a philosophic family who look to him and do him honor. Your favorite book by a pre-Christian philosopher, or a book about ancient Greece that you liked? Oh, this prompt was a pain to figure out. I guess I could have gone with Aristotle. He's certainly a much more valuable literary critic than Plato is. But I'm not, So I'm kind of punting here, but I'm going with Mythos by Stephen Fry. This is a modern adaptation of the Greek myths. In this volume, mostly the Tales of the Gods are focused on. I think he has another one, Heroes, which focuses on the heroes more specifically, but really enjoyed it. I love Fry's interpretations. Prompt number 6, Palo e Francesca. Inferno Canto V. Love which absolves none who are loved from loving. A book of any genre with a love story that you particularly liked, as part of the central plot or not. So for this one, I'm going with A Memory Called Empire. One of the highlights of this book is the budding relationship between Mahit, who is this ambassador who's newly arrived and trying to figure out what happened to her predecessor. She's assigned 3 Seagrass as her attaché, as her assistant. Ignore the fact that Mahit should have had somebody from her own homeland or the station to actually help her, rather than agent because the loyalty issue there, but let's ignore that. But the budding relationship between Mahed and Three Seagrass is one of the highlights of this book. It is just amazing. Prompt number 7, Ulysses. Inferno Canto XXXIII. Until the sea had closed up over us. Name a book you loved, any genre, whose protagonist leads a group of people to follow his or her courage and ambition into adventure. Ooh. So for this one, I'm going with Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. Although, having reread the prompt just now, I'm thinking the second book in this series, Bloody Rose, which I'm going to go get real quick. It's just right over here. Okay, so Bloody Rose is a much more appropriate answer to this prompt. So in Bloody Rose, her and her band, I'm blanking on the name of the band. It's not, I want to say it's Fable, but I could be wrong. But anyway, so Bloody Rose is the daughter of Golden Gabe, who basically is the catalyst for the quest in this book, or Bloody Rose is the catalyst for the quest in this book. She goes off to a distant city to defend it from an oncoming monster horde. So in this one, Bloody Rose is more established as in her own right as a mercenary, and she's gathered a loyal band of followers, including Tam Ashford, who serves as the narrator of this book. And there's another horde coming on, and most of the mercenaries are going towards that oncoming horde to fight it, while Bloody Rose is leading her band on a tour up north because there's this other contract waiting for this unbeaten monster. And the rest of her band follow her in her ambitions. And it is quite good. I mean, I'm going to have another go at both of these books at some point. Hopefully not too soon. Well, soonish. Hopefully the third book comes out this year. I can only pray. Anyway, prompt number 8. Saint Bernard the Poet. Paradiso Canto 32. Or is that 33? It's 33. I can't see. Love in your womb was fanned to fire again. Okay, maybe I'm not going to read the Divine Comedy anytime soon. What is your favorite poetry books in translation? So for this one, I'm going to go. I have to admit some embarrassment here because I was struggling with this prompt. I don't know why. Because just today when I'm realized I'm going to give this one another go, that I realized already had one that would work. And that is View with a Grain of Sand by Wisława Szymborska. I absolutely love this book. And it is one of my favorite poetry collections in translation. So I have no idea why this book just completely slipped my mind for the past week. But it did. But anyway, but definitely this is one of my favorite poetry collections. And certainly in translation as well. So yeah. Anywho. Finally, prompt number 9. Tag someone. So I've seen this tag making the rounds of BookTube lately. Don't know exactly who have done it, but if you would like to do this tag, and if you haven't done this tag, consider yourselves tagged. And if you would like me to specifically tag you, I guess maybe leave a comment down below so I can remember and not do the universal everybody's tagged if you want to do it. So anyway, BookTube, hopefully I will be back tomorrow with another tag. Or maybe tomorrow and Thursday, and then Friday I will have weekly reads. So anyway, BookTube, until tomorrow, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.